Hi everyone. Before I begin, I would like everybody to imagine a murderer. What do they look like? A monster? A psychopath? Probably a man? Imagine if it's a young girl. That's what's depicted in Judith slaying Holofernes by Artemisia Gentileschi, dating back to 1620. Yeah, it's the same painting as before. It's a painting captivated by the Baroque art period, a painting reflecting biblical stories, but most amazingly, a painting detailing female revenge and empowerment. Look at this artwork, the scene unfolding. Two women, one sword. This is Judith, in the yellow, with her handmaid Abra by her side, brutally beheading Holofernes with innate determination. It isn't the moment before the violence, it's not the aftermath, it's the act itself. It's one of the most empowering, yet disturbing images in Western art history. A painting that cannot be summed up within 10 minutes, but I will try. To get to grips with the significance of the painting, we must first discuss the story behind it. Judith slaying Holofernes in the Deuterocanonical Book of Judith. The story goes that Judith is a young, beautiful, and wealthy widow living in her city, Bethulia. However, her city falls under grave danger. The Assyrian forces, led by Holofernes, create a relentless siege. Judith does not accept this. She dresses in her best garments, crosses enemy lines, into his camp. She seduces him, and he later falls into a drunken sleep. This would be his last. With her handmaid by her side, she grabs a sword and decapitates him, returning to her city with his head and ultimately victory. The book itself is fascinating, a heroic woman who saves her city, uncommon today and unheard of in the early 6th century. The Renaissance loved this story and often used it as a subject for their paintings. Obviously, it was portrayed by male artists as a religious or as a moral lesson. In this, the act itself was often avoided. The aftermath, Judith carrying the head, was the staple, as shown above. This did begin to change with the Baroque art period, which became more open to scenes of violence and gore. Yet they never truly represented Judith correctly. Yes, she was a woman. And men in the 17th century could not believe a woman could be so vicious, and so when the murder was shown, it was a scared, frightened young girl. Let me show this to you. Here is the same subject carried out by Caravaggio, an incredibly influential painter at the time, and in fact, a friend of Gentileschi's and her father. She used this as inspiration herself, the tenebrisms, the colour, the setting. But there are a few key differences. Look at Judith's face, the one in yellow. She's scared, frightened, and worried. In arm's length away, she commits the act, trying to avoid the streaming blood out of his neck. She avoids staining her dress. A dress which is partially white, showing her purity, and a dress which is partially yellow, showing her divinity. She not only avoids staining her dress, she avoids staining her innocence. The sword glides easily across his neck. This murder is unchallenging. Furthermore, there's an almost divine light cascading on the scene. This isn't a sin, but an act of God alone. And to her side, she has her handmaid, Abra. She is elderly. I believe this to emphasize the perceived beauty of Judith. Abra's old. She doesn't possess the charm that Judith does. Abra can get her hands dirty, but Judith, no. She's too enduring. Caravaggio was known for brutality, and while there definitely is some, how does this compare to Gentileschi? Look at Opus again. I mean, really look at it. Feel the uneasiness within you at the scene. It shocks you, the utter realism of it all. The rolled up sleeves, the clenched fists, the stern look on her face, and lastly, the gruesome act centered. It's a raw, filthy, and brutal painting, documenting the climax of the scene. It doesn't avoid the task of murder, but offers it. Two women who hold such active agency over a filthy task. Not a quaint or domestic task, but a filthy, harrowing murder. There is no young or old differentiator, just their equality, their shared rage and lust for death. Unlike Caravaggio's painting, the sword doesn't easily glide across his neck. She has to hack away at it, at the tendons and the muscle. As you look at it, it disgusts you, but it intrigues you. You can't look away. You close your eyes and the splashing of blood shimmers in your brain. That's why I chose it. Now, I won't lie to you. I don't often engage in art. I've been to the odd art gallery or two. I've seen a plethora of beautiful paintings, but none quite like this one. Here, he hasn't just two callous people committing a murder, but two callous women. And there was one final thing that drew me to this piece, one that changes everything. Look at Judith's face. She isn't anonymous. This is Gentileschi's face herself. And the face of Holofernes? That is Gentileschi's rapist. There is one thing Caravaggio lacked. He had not felt and he had not understood female fury and rage. He had not understood his own painting. To Gentileschi, this wasn't just a biblical story. This was her story. She doesn't avoid the kill because she wants to feel it. She shows the struggle in the brutality because she has felt it. This painting is Gentileschi killing her rapist. This is her revenge. Women in the 17th century often never had a chance to pursue artwork. But due to her skill, her father, Orazio, recognised her talent and placed under the care of Tassi, another painter, to learn. This will lead to the worst experience for Gentileschi. At 17 years old, she'd be brutally raped by him. He refused to marry her, and as a result, her father, Orazio, prosecuted him. This would lead to the worst experience for Gentileschi. She suffered horribly through this. In 7 long months through the trial, they shamed her relentlessly. They tortured her, forced physical examinations to ensure she was telling the truth. Fortunately, Tassi would be proven guilty. Unfortunately, he never truly suffered the consequences. He wasn't raped, he wasn't tortured, he wasn't shamed. And the cherry on the cake? He was pardoned. But she continued to paint. Painting for her was more than a hobby, it was her voice. And in her work, she spoke. The colours, the setting, the subjects. In fact, 49 out of 57 of her artworks surrounded female heroines and figures, just like this one. Later, she became the first woman allowed into the Academy of Art of Drawing. Her career flourished, and all without a man's permission. Her paintbrush was truly her weapon. Today, it lies in Florence, a piece I wish I have the chance to see someday, for even seeing it online provides a guttural response. The scene remains in my head when I turn away. The fascination comes back when I have a moment to myself. To me, this is an image of a reclamation of dignity, of taking back power. It's raw and unapologetic. It doesn't care to make it acceptable or feminine. It cares to make female anger legitimate. When I see this painting, I see the anger of women, of girls worldwide. Tassi, a powerful painter who raped a young girl. Holofernes, a man in power who abused others. And I'm not advocating for murder or for violence by any means. But in this, I see the need for women to stand up to their oppressors together. A woman and her handmaid. Solidarity. Gentileschi showed this, a proto-feminist in her own right. She didn't ask history to remember her. She forced it to. Thank you.